So there you have it. Spoiler alert right in the title. We bought a house, our first house, and we bought it in my hometown where I grew up in beautiful and tremendously underrated Tacoma, Washington. Specifically, the north end of Tacoma, which is almost the Point Defiance sort of Ruston area. Practically center of North Tacoma. And it's not directly walkable to anything really except for a park that's just a block away, but it is just a few minutes to drive to just about anything and everything you could possibly want. If you're not familiar with Tacoma, it's about 35 miles or so south of Seattle. On a good day, it's about 45 minutes from our old apartment in the Wallingford area. Traffic is usually 15 to 30 minutes longer. After trying and failing to buy our first house in Seattle proper for almost a year, we ultimately landed on West Seattle or the north end here in Tacoma. And we honestly weren't leaning either direction. We decided we were going to go where the right house took us. So we definitely feel like it was fate that we ended up here. And we are absolutely in love with this house itself. And of course, in the back half of this video, I will tour you around so you can see why we love it so much, so stick around. And by the way, if you want the full, more sort of somber background side of this story, check out my previous video about why we left Seattle next, but today should be light and fun and positive. I'm going to cover why we ended up buying a brand new build specifically, why we fell in love with this house in particular, the buying process for us, did we overspend, pros and cons of living here so far, and of course, that house tour I mentioned. A lot to get to, so let's dive right in and talk new builds. And my first thought on why we bought a new build is, well, I didn't see that coming. Compared to what we could afford at our budget in Seattle, a brand new build wasn't anything we even considered or lusted after. Not to mention, when I think Tacoma houses, I think 100-plus-year-old houses like the one I grew up in, which was actually built before the year 1900. We actually toured many historical, beautiful old homes that were just oozing with charm, but something never felt quite right. I think it was my deep down fear that it was going to require tons of maintenance and attention over time, and lots of money to update to make it exactly what we wanted. Well, I would knock down that wall, and I would fix this. And that's the beauty we realized with a new build. You likely won't have to deal with repairs or issues for 5 or maybe up to 10 years if I'm being optimistic. So knock on wood there. Real wood actually with new builds, even the hardwoods. We ultimately decided that we wanted a new build at the top of our budget or an older home that was $200,000 plus less dollars so that we wouldn't have to wait 5 or more years to update it and make it our own. Obviously, we went with a new build, like I mentioned. It was the second new build that we saw in Tacoma and we offered on. And truthfully, via the listing, we didn't think much of this one at first because the first new build about 10 blocks away or so caught our eye more, mainly because it was $40,000 or so less expensive. And they did a better job, I'll say, with the photos and the virtual walkthrough of that other listing. We toured both the same day and we were more excited about the first one we saw despite having one less bathroom and a smaller backyard, mainly because, again, of that price tag. What happened next happened really fast. We offered on that first new build and once again, got beat out, but only by about $30,000, which was encouraging. We didn't put in an escalation clause because it was already at the top of our budget. And a few days later, we actually went and offered again on a house in West Seattle that also had caught our eye. It was built in the 60s with really great recent updates. It was mid-century modern meets just modern, really funky and cool. And we liked it despite being on a very busy street and being kind of noisy. But again, we got beat out by over $100,000, even with an escalation clause. That was our 5th failed offer in total. The very next morning, I get an email alert from Redfin about a price reduction on a favorite house. It was that other new build in Tacoma, and it had dropped by about $35,000, putting it within striking range of our budget. So we called our agent immediately and had him draft an offer. We came in that day with an offer $25,000 under that lowered price, which admittedly was a bit aggressive on our behalf, but we knew it had been sitting there for 2+ weeks, and maybe if we were first, it might work. They counter offered in the middle, so we jumped on it right away, and we ended up getting under contract to buy pending inspection, which actually put us a little bit in control. To think though, getting beat out by 100,000, 200,000 plus consistently in Seattle to getting a brand new build under asking and even under a price drop was incredible. And funny enough, it was the only offer that didn't include a house love letter from us. So patience paid off, and that was for us overall with a year of looking and learning, but also because it sat on the market, like I said, for 2+ weeks. So we didn't have a ton of competition. Plus supply was high at the time. The time of the year wasn't perfect. And honestly, we may have just gotten lucky. We heard that several others expressed strong interest, but we were the only offer actually in hand. And that offer was good only for 24 hours. So honestly, at the end of the day, we feel like we scored here. Did we overspend? You might be wondering. At the end of the day, kind of, sure. I never thought I'd buy a house for that sticker price, but you better believe I crunched the numbers day after day with my wife to make sure it made sense for us now and the long term. Plus, she got a recent raise. I actually got a new job during the closing process, which is another life update I haven't mentioned. But I'm not going to get into the weeds of the numbers and the down payment and share all those financials publicly today. I usually am a totally open book, but a home is a very personal decision and a huge investment, and everyone seems to have a strong opinion. It's by far the most emotional purchase I have or will ever make. So yeah, I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell me how wrong I am by buying this, by picking apart all the numbers like a George on Seinfeld.
So what was it, 400? 500? Did you pay 500 for this? Over 6? Over 700? You are sick!
Details I will share is that we did put down close to 7%, and we had to get a little creative to come up with that number. I'd actually be happy to make a video talking about down payments and why we settled on that amount, how it impacted our interest rate, creative payment strategies to think about, how much you should consider putting down, and so on. So let me know if you'd like to see that video or just more home buying videos in general. Once under contract, we did still have an inspection and sewer scope done for around $750 out of pocket. That was a contingency that they accepted. That gave us about 5 days to back out for just about any reason, and we'd only be out that $750, not our escrow. Now, obviously, with the new build, the inspection came back almost perfectly clean. And since we were here when it happened, we got to really walk through the house in detail and pick it apart and make a few requests. We had mostly minor requests, but the inspector with his gadgets did find 4 or 5 things that needed to be changed or fixed. Plus, I would say like 15 or so other super small requests, and that was that. Done deal. Honestly, the whole process from then on was shockingly smooth and easy. I was surprised how much was handled digitally. We requested closing to actually get pulled up a week to avoid Thanksgiving week, and that was no problem. It actually sounded better for everyone involved. Most updates were handled over email and just a few quick phone calls. We ended up signing all the paperwork 3 days before our actual closing date, and even that only took about 25 minutes total at the title office. And on our closing date, our agent came by, he delivered the keys to our apartment with some very kind gifts, and we moved the next morning. It was crazy and fast and awesome and honestly super smooth and relatively easy. The only thing that wasn't easy actually was self-imposed. We actually decided to take a car full down that day that we got the keys, and I decided I was gonna ride separately on my Vespa because that was one thing I failed to plan to move. So yeah, it was freezing on the Vespa. We took the back roads all the way down, so it was about 1 hour and 45 minutes, and I hope I never have to do that again. That's why I went straight to the fireplace with champagne in hand when we arrived. Before the tour though, let me quickly highlight some of the new build pros and cons, bullet style, after living here for, I guess, around 12 days. I covered the biggest already, which is that it's very unlikely we'll have any repairs to deal with in the next handful of years. And of course, everything here is obviously brand new, as you'll see. Tankless water heater, kitchen appliances, roof, siding, windows, locks, fireplace, you name it, it's all new. And most of that comes with warranties, which is really nice. It's an open floor plan with a social kitchen, something we really wanted for hosting. It has fantastic modern touches throughout. I do not feel like they cut any corners. And it's just great to know, honestly, that we're the first to use everything. I have a hard time looking at any design decision and wondering why they did certain things or forgot something. Finally though, the best thing of all is it isn't haunted. Those older Tacoma houses always spook you in the middle of the night, to be sure. Let me know, do you live in a spooky, older, potentially haunted house? I almost certainly did growing up. All right, cons. This house hasn't been tested or really put under pressure, so that's why it was key to still have an inspection. Many might be tempted to forego that with a new build, but I wouldn't recommend it. Have it looked at to be extra sure. For example, the upstairs we noticed was getting much hotter than the downstairs. If I'm nitpicking, the house didn't come with some amenities that I would have expected or like to have. For example, we had to buy our own washer and dryer, sink disposal, and mailbox. There aren't any blinds on any windows, so we instantly had to buy temporary ones. There's no AC. There is a nice 2-car garage, but it's completely unfinished, like to the studs and nails. That all said though, I've never owned a home, so maybe a lot of that stuff is actually pretty normal. To afford a new build, we had to go to a less than perfect, immediately nearby neighborhood. The way I see it is if you pick this house up and put it in some of the most desirable areas, I'm sure it's over $1 million and way out of budget. Plus, there are some really great neighborhoods just a few blocks away. We did have to compromise though, again, a little bit on the neighborhood. All right, enough of all of that. You're probably just here for the tour, so let's get to that. Inside only to respect our location and privacy. Take it away, me, show off this still mostly empty house with, you'll see, a crazy, confused dog running around. Hey, welcome to my house. Come on in. This is where we take off our shoes, put our keys. This is our brand new ring alarm system, which we got on for Black Friday on a really awesome deal. So we already have that installed. This is obviously my snack jar because sometimes I'm just incredibly hungry when I walk in and I can't make it all the way to the kitchen. So good to have that here. Right behind you actually is the guest bathroom. So just a simple setup here, half bath. But in this room, this is where sort of the magic happens, I guess. This is my office / YouTube space. So this is where I work, I write, I film. I still need to work on this echo in here, but it's got these really cool double doors that lead out into the front patio. And as you swing around, you'll notice this full walk-in closet. And that's because this is technically the second master bedroom. And if you come around through here, this is the bathroom. With, I'm not sure if you saw it, but motion activated lights and heated floors. The toilet has its own room, which is super convenient. The shower is incredible. It's got 3 different shower heads, including the rainfall shower up top. His and her sinks over here, linen closet. Okay, let's go see the main feature of the house, which is the open floor plan dining living room. Coat closet here. This is where we're gonna have a dining room table, chairs, and rug. Hey, this is the living room, and shout out to my brother for the hookup on his old / mostly new couches. As you swing around into the actual living room, Leo's extremely excited. Eventually, we'll get some matching consoles here on the left and right. Let me know if you have any ideas for this setup here. Hey, you're gonna go outside, and let's show off the backyard while we do that. Back here is the fully fenced backyard, 2-car garage. All right, let's leave him out there. Everybody come in except Leo. This might be our favorite part of the whole house, which is the kitchen. I'll start on this side, which is my favorite part of the kitchen, this massive brand new fridge. So all the appliances are obviously brand new, matching KitchenAid. This one's got extra drawers, filtered water, all kinds of good stuff going on here. This is Claire's favorite part of the kitchen, which is everything else. We've got the 2 different ovens, which comes in handy this time of year for holidays and hosting. Built-in microwave right here, dishwasher right below. And if you come into here, this is a walk-in pantry, which is mostly empty. And then right in here is actually a mud room, which could be used as a washer dryer room, but we have another area we're gonna use upstairs for that. Let's head up upstairs and I'll show you around. As we go upstairs, I gotta mention this is some of the softest carpet I've ever felt, and you've got the lights down below so you can see at night. And this is another really cool area, just an upstairs den area. All this used to be in our old apartment living room, so we just put it all up here for now, so it's kind of a fun, nostalgic spot. So I imagine we'll put a TV up here, or it can just be a little reading room, wind down room. But come on over to the office. This one is Claire's office. We did have a hard time deciding who was gonna take what office, but she landed on this one, which is awesome. Right next door to this, I'm sure it'll be a future guest bedroom, but currently you'll see, we just use it for working out. Thought about making this my office, but then we would have shared a wall and we could hear through it pretty well, so I made that decision pretty easy. In here is just a simple guest bathroom upstairs. If you swing around here, this is the actual washer dryer room, so those are on their way, another good Black Friday deal there. Right next to that, of course, simple linen closet. And then it's on into the last room I'm gonna share, which is the master bedroom. Tons of space, especially compared to our last one. Lots of big windows, so we've already put in the big temporary blinds for now. Come on over here. This is really cool. We just installed this last night with the barn sliding door. It's now soft close, which is great. It used to bounce open and the dog could just nudge it open, but come on in. This is the bathroom, pretty simple. Again, we have the heated floors and the motion activated lights, which is awesome. Closet wise, we don't have a walk-in up here, but we do have his and her closets. I think that's about it. So yeah, get out of my bedroom. Thanks for checking this out. Hope you enjoyed the tour. So yeah, this house was the cherry on top of an absolutely insane year. I got engaged on New Year's. We got married in September. We went on a big island honeymoon. I'm starting a new job in a week and a half. Plus, I'm working on my third book and on my way to 100 YouTube videos this year alone. So insane might be an understatement, but I am honestly loving every minute of this. Thank you to everybody involved. There are too many people to name with buying the house and the whole process, but I will shout out our agent by name. Ask for Will at Compass if you're in the greater Seattle area and looking to buy. We're both just so full of happiness and gratitude and excitement for what's ahead. The projects here in the house and filling up the space with new things, hosting, building a non-echoey YouTube studio is exciting, letting our dog run around in the backyard when the weather is nice, sipping coffee and writing on the front or back deck, re-exploring and getting to know Tacoma as well. 2022 has a lot to live up to, but if I learned one thing, it's this. Never underestimate what you can do in a year. The new year is coming, by the way, so let me know, what are you most excited about? If you have questions, comments, tips, positivity to share, advice, I'm all ears. For example, what things do we need to know as first-time home buyers in general? Like, there are tax benefits to owning, right? Like this video if you liked it or the house and you're excited for us. Subscribe if you're pumped to see more and learn along with me in this journey. Have an awesome December and 2022 ahead, and I hope to see you in a few days on the next one. Thanks. We haven't even pulled this off. You wanna come in? It's so satisfying with that.
Well, dog.